All right, so here you have some multi-step, special right, your 30, 60, 90s. There is some Pythag that's involved with this at some point. Basically, you'll be using your special right triangle ratios to get certain legs or hypotenuses, so you can get that. You need two sides for a Pythag. You only need one side for a special right triangle. So you can use your special right triangle to get your second side of your Pythag. Right? So right away I'm looking at this 45, 45, 90. Okay? You have the side opposite 90, which is 70. Okay? So if I'm going backwards like we spoke about, this is my x square root of 2. So basically I have 70 is equal to x square root of 2. I could divide both sides by square root of 2, and I end up with, after I conjugate, I end up with 70 square root of 2 over 2. Okay? The conjugating comes from taking the 70 square root of 2, taking the 70 over square root of 2 and multiplying it by square root of 2 over square root of 2. So, and 70 over 2, you have an even number with a 0. There's going to be some reducing that takes place there. 70 over 2 reduces to 35 square root of 2. Now what that's telling me is that this is my side here, 35 square root of 2. Now if I have a single slash, that's telling me these two sides are congruent. So I can make this side here 35 square root of 2. So now I have a 30, 60, 90 ratio where the side opposite 30 is 35 square root of 2. I'm looking for the side opposite 60. So I really don't have to worry about my 90 here. Really all I need to do is just get my 30 to my 60 by multiplying by square root of 3. This is my x. This is my x. So I just need to multiply that by square root of 3, and I end up with 35 square root of 6. You'll see most of your multi-step questions are going to be in radical form. Okay? Here's one where they're starting you off with a 45, 45, 90. They actually set this up pretty nice because they're giving you a side opposite 90 with 12 square root of 2. And if you're going backwards, you're dividing by square root of 2. So really you just end up with a 12. Now that makes sense because if I had a 45, 45, 90 triangle and this is 8, my hypotenuse is just that number times square root of 2, which is what you see here. Now if this is 12, I now have a right triangle, okay, with a side of 20 and 12. And if I want to solve for that, I'm just taking my 20 squared plus my 12 squared equal to my x squared. 20 squared, 400, plus the 144 equals 544, which is equal to x squared. Take the square root of both sides. Now, if they're looking for radical form, something that I did here is I said, okay, what's 544? 544 divided by 2. Okay, that gave me, let me go a little higher. Divide by 8. Okay, that works too. Oh, let me try 16. Right? Because I'm trying to simplify my radical here. Wow, 16 works as well. So I can actually take this, I could take this 544 and simplify it to square root of 16, square root of 34. Square root of 16 is 4. And I don't necessarily have to simplify my 34 because that's 17 and 2. Those are two prime numbers. So actually, remember, I come back to the 34, and my final answer will be 434. And if they give you multiple choice answers, a lot of times they will reveal what it is that you need to look for by using your answers. Here's one where you use a 30, 60, 90 to get your 45, 45, 90. So I have my 30, 60, 90 here, this triangle here in red. We'll look at that. Where the side opposite 90 is 20 square root of 3. Now let's fill that out. 20, this is x square root of 3, 2x. 2x is equal to 20 square root of 3. Divide by 2, divide by 2. X is equal to 10 square root of 3. That's my 30, 10 square root of 3. Now, the side that I'm going to use to help me with my 45, 45, 90 is here. Let's call it y, right? So I need my side opposite 60. Now to do that, I'm going to multiply by square root of 3. Look what happens. 10 square root of 3 times square root of 3 is 10 square root of 9. Square root of 9 is 3, so I get 10 times 3, 30. So that tells me that my side here is actually 30. My side opposite my 60 will also be my side opposite my 45. So when I fill out my 45, 45, 90, and the opposite here is 30, and I'm trying to get to 90, remember x square root of 2, we're just multiplying the 30 times square root of 2. And this would be my answer here for the side opposite 90, 30 square root of 2. This is, right away I'm looking at this as some sort of Pythag question because it's giving me one side, it's asking for another. And odds are, once I get this side here, I'll have two sides I could solve for a third. 30, 60, 90. X square root of 3, 2x. They give me the side opposite 90, which is 60. 60 is equal to 2x. 60 is equal to 2x of my ratio. It's 20. So 20 divided by 2 would actually be, let me fix that. It's a good catch. 20. So 20 divided by 2 would actually give me a 10. And then if I'm looking for my side opposite 60, so this here is 30, this is my 10. And this here is going to be my 10 square root of 3. Now, I'm glad we're taking a look at this because this is a special case you guys are going to deal with. Here I have a side which is 10 square root of 3. And a hypotenuse is 19, and I'm trying to solve for my leg. So basically you have 10 square root of 3 squared plus x squared is equal to 19 squared. It's funny when you square root this because you're going to do 100 squared, which is 100, and square root of 3 squared is actually just 3. So in this side, this parentheses, you actually end up with 100 times 3. 19 squared, I think, is 361. Okay, so you end up with, let's bring this over here, 300 plus x squared is equal to 361, right? Minus the 300. X squared is equal to 61. Take the square root. 61 is a prime number, so your final answer would be square root of 61. The key piece is here. The understanding that square root of 3 squared is going to end up just being a 3, and this ends up being a 300. And this would be your answer here. Again, left in radical form. If you end up with a isosceles triangle, let's say, right? All these, if this is 30, this is 90, that means this is 30, that means this is 60. Basically what ends up happening, and we saw that in the skateboard question, is that this gets bisected into square root of 3 and square root of 3. So that means each of these sides, this side here, and we'll use another color to show we're talking about two sides here, is going to be square root of 3, and it's going to be square root of 3, okay? And they're looking for this x here, which means I want to try to solve for this hypotenuse. So the side opposite 30, 30, 60, 90, the side opposite 30 is square root of 3. And which means the side opposite 90 is this number, it's x, x squared root of 3, 2x, is taking this number and multiplying it by 2. 2 square root of 3. Now I have a 45, 45, 90, in which the hypotenuse is 2 square root of 3. And if I'm coming back this way, I know that my ratio is x, x, x square root of 2. So I could just do x square root of 2 is equal to 2 square root of 3. Divide by square root of 2. Now there's some funky math here, but basically you end up with 2 square root of 3 over square root of 2. Multiply both by the conjugate, you get 2 square root of 6. Square root of 2 times square root of 2 is square root of 4, which is 2. These reduce, and you end up with square root of 6 for your leg here. A lot of steps involved. I think the most complicated step is the fact that you're dividing a 2 square root of 3 by square root of 2. But that's okay as long as you're conjugating it. Square root of 2 times square root of 3 is square root of 6. You recognize this and you see a chance to reduce. Just make sure you split whatever you get here, you're dividing that by 2. Right? And 2 square root of 3 divided by 2 is just square root of 3. That's how I got these two sides here for my triangle. And then I just use this as my side opposite 30. This is a good one here because you're using a 30, 60, 90. Okay, they give you the side opposite 90. We're definitely going to have to use a Pythag here. So they give you a side opposite 90, which is 20. To bring it back by 30, I think we know by now we're dividing by 2. To bring it to 60, you're multiplying by square root of 3. That's your x, x square root of 3, 2x ratio. So that means this is 10 square root of 3. Now if this whole thing is 18 square root of 3 and I have a 10 square root of 3, that would make this leg here 8 square root of 3. And we identified that our side opposite 30 was 10. So here I have a right triangle with a side 10 and a side 8 square root of 3. Okay, we saw this before in the past. Here we have that 8 square root of 3 squared. That's that funny little squaring thing we worked with before. Okay, and we're solving for the hypotenuse, which is the c squared, we'll call it x squared. 8 squared, 64. Square root of 3 squared, 3. Plus 100 squared, or 10 squared is 100. And I'm going to end up with the square root of, what is this, 192 plus 100. The square root of 292. Now if I want to try to simplify this, again I say, okay, let me take 292 and divide by 2. I get 146. If that works, let me try 4. 292 divided by 4. Okay, that works, and I like that because it gives me a perfect square of 4, and I have a prime number of 73. Square root of 4 is 2. My answer would be 2. Square root of 73. Simple enough, though. You should see this in some of your answer choices, so it should lead you to this answer here. That should be any multi-step question you guys come in contact with.